社会大鹅。你们这儿
I and Aura are social groups, geese, and the ring is social mouse. Okay. So have you all read today?
Yes，
Yes.
我真的有，
Okay. So it's
我读了5。
nice.
哎，我们就是1、2、3、4，1、2、3、4，我们是5、6。
5 and 6.
我读了
Okay. So the story begin with
Edmund is being the
being rude to his sister.
yes.
Or should I give a summary?
Oh yeah. Like,
Summary. So, in
chapter 5.
chapter at the end of chapter 4, Emmett also went into Narnia. And so chapter 5, Lucy was happy that she can tell Susan and Peter that Emmett also went into. She wants to prove that she is not lying. But when they went to their sisters, Emmett decided to not to admit that he also went to. So he says that he is just playing with Lucy. So Lucy felt very disappointed, and also Susan and Peter felt confused. So they went find the professor and tell him the whole thing. And surprisingly, the professor seems to believe Lucy. He says that there are only 3 possibilities. Are that Lucy is lying, Lucy is going mad, or Lucy are telling the truth. And they all know that Lucy won't lie, and obviously she is not mad as well. So the only possibility is that Lucy is telling the truth.
Use your logic.
But
Yeah. What do they teach in school these days?
but Susan and Peter want to believe it, but it's hard for them to believe. But finally, they all went into the wardrobe at the end of chapter 5 because they are avoiding Mrs.
McCready?
Yes. So they finally think that Lucy is right. And in chapter 6, when they enter Narnia, they want to go find Mr. Thomas.
Yeah.
But when they arrive Mr. Thomas' house, they found out that maybe someone just broke into his house and they can't find Mr. Thomas. And there is a paper on the floor. It says that Mr. Thomas is under arrest. So they want to go find Mr. Thomas and save him. Because Lucy thinks that it is because of her, so Mr. Thomas is in trouble. But Edmund doesn't agree with them. He thinks that they all have to go back. Yeah, that's chapter 5 and 6.
What do you think? Do we have a tracker or word wizard?
Me. I found some interesting phrases or words. So first, we can take a look at chapter 5, very beginning of chapter 5. Look here, said Peter. So it's after Edmund after Edmund just after Edmund didn't want to admit that he saw Narnia as well, so blah blah blah, and Peter was scolding him, and he said, "I believe you simply did it out of spite, and out of spite means 出于恶意."
True.
Yeah. And but Edmund said it's all nonsense. Very taken aback. Taken aback means very shocked. It's at the end of the
On page 24.
yeah, page 24. At the end of page 24. Here. Taken aback, very shocked. And then, beginning of page 25, there's jeering and nagging. Jeering 就是嘲笑 ，nagging 就是唠叨 ，nagging all day long 就是一直讲，或者是烦你的意思，这样子。And then at the end of page 25, there's another phrase, at their disposal. So when they're going to talk to the professor, and professor answered them, come in and got up and focused, found chairs, blah blah blah. That he was quite at their disposal. So at one's disposal means you are willing to help. And interesting thing to keep in mind when you say at one disposal, it's not at yours, it's at. 比如说我来找你，是 at， 对，就是他们了，对。So it's not at his disposal, it's at their， 就是那群小孩的 disposal. Yeah. And then there's nothing really matters. Also camphor. 他们进去 wardrobe 之后，他们要掉出去，然后他们就在抱怨很挤什么什么什么的，然后 Emma 就抱怨说有 smell of camphor 是樟脑的意思。
Camphor. How to spell it?
CAMPHOR.
CAM.
PHOR.
Oh.
So I think you often put that stuff in places, but I don't know what is camphor for.
我 say 樟脑丸。我也说樟脑。
樟脑在哪？所以它叫樟脑是要干嘛的？
驱虫。
哦，驱虫。Okay. Those for human stuff. Okay, that's my part for the discussion.
Do you think just Aura just say the professor is at their disposal, but in the video we don't see the professor is not quite at their disposal in the movie version. What do you think? Why?
Really? I thought he was also willing to help in the movie.
But the maid doesn't want people to get in touch with the professor because the professor is busy doing something. We don't know.
I think in the novel maybe the professor is also busy, but when the kids came up to the professor, he was very willing to help. Like I remember in the movie when the kids came up to him, he also stand up and move from his desk to another like sofa or something, and he was willing to talk to them, as if he knows what is going to be talked about.
Maybe he's a magician. He's a wizard.
Maybe he created.
Narnia.
Yeah.
That's another.
Yeah.
Do you think Narnia, the wardrobe world, is a trial for all those four? Because you see Peter against James in Peter become more expressive after the trial, and Susan seems to be more independent. Well, you can see in the argument in chapter 5, Susan tends to think what Peter says right, and she doesn't have any personal opinion on anything. And Edmund is just trying to bully every people, and in Narnia, I think Edmund had his punishment. Yet, and Lucy is again find trust in another people.
So what was the question again?
Do you think it's a trial set by the doctor, by the professor, and what do you think these 4 kids gain after the trial?
It's a trial. It's a trial. Yeah, I think they all become more mature, for sure, and I think they all gain something very different. They all gain some traits in a good way, and it's very different from what they were in the beginning. And you have said what I wanted to say, like Susan is more independent, and what Peter loves his sibling more. I think Peter was kind of like, is Peter the oldest?
Yes, Peter.
Yeah. So he cannot really relate to the younger kids, I think. So he kept thinking like, you just have to do this, you have to do that, be mature. But after all the journey or the adventure, he eventually it's as if he can really listen to the kids, the younger ones. So I think Peter's become more
Considerably.
yeah. And actually, I don't know about Susan. I don't like her. I don't think she's.
It was, I think she become more at least from the from the talk conversation in the professor office. I think
she's more
Susan can do more decisions. Like although she didn't shot the arrow.
Yeah, I was so mad of that. I was so mad at that scene. Do you know the scene? I've been complaining since last week. Like she brought her weapon and she told the lion, and then she got to the hidden point and she saw that the lion was about to be executed by that witch, right? So she should have done something, like shot an arrow or something. But she didn't do anything. She was just watching and then gasped, huh? And then yeah, I don't know what she's doing. So I was kind of mad about that scene. But however, the lion came back alive afterwards. So yeah, I think back to the question, they all gain something. What do you think?
I think they learn something for themselves. Also, they know how to interact with each other. They have a better relationship. I just think of that at the beginning they moved to the professor's house because there was a war near their home. So I'm